World War II was one of the largest conflicts in the history of the world. Thousands of stories have been told, both about the strength and heroics of human nature and the lowest and most vile that mankind can possibly fall to. What follows are little-known tales from this conflict that some people might not know about. November 1938. Under the influence of Adolf Hitler, a man who promises the people that Germany shall rise again to their rightful place in the world, the Nazi Party has become the most influential political party within Germany. Many saw a looming war ahead, even if they couldn't see the sheer size of it, and one man decided that he would stop this before it could even happen. George Elser traveled to Munich with a plan. Every year, Hitler made a speech at the Burgerbräu beer hall in celebration of the Nazis' first grab for power, the 1923 Beer Hall Putsch. This would be the place. This would be the time. This is when the assassination of Adolf Hitler would happen. Reconning the hall, George located the perfect spot to place explosives in the pillars that supported a balcony over the speaker's podium. He gained a job at the local munitions factory in order to acquire explosives and began to go to the Bräu hall nightly. He would hide, and when the building had emptied for the night, he would begin his work. He needed a place to hide the bomb. Using the sound of passing traffic, he would work at the pillar with a hammer and chisel for 35 nights. Finally, everything in place, the bomb was on a timed detonation and set to explode during Hitler's traditionally 2-hour speech. Unfortunately, Hitler was known to be an erratic man. The planned attack of France was scheduled for 3 days later, and wanting to be back in time to oversee the operation, he ended his speech early, 20 minutes after Hitler had left. The bomb exploded. 8 people were killed in the blast, and dozens others sustained injuries. George had fled earlier, having mapped a route to Switzerland, where he planned to seek asylum for the assassination. He kept all the proof he needed of his act on his person, with the idea of using it to prove what he had done. When he was arrested at the border, the Nazis had all the proof they needed. After being arrested and tortured, George was eventually placed in a concentration camp. He was kept there until April 1945. As the end of the war and the fall of the Nazis loomed on the horizon, he was executed. Established in 1940, the Kreisau Circle was a group of 25 Germans who opposed Hitler and his Nazi regime. Led by Helmuth James von Moltke, the group would meet at his estate, and they would discuss the future of Germany, preparing for the eventual fall of the Third Reich and its aftermath, hoping that the country would one day be democratic, anti-racist, and internationalist. The group went so far as to draft a new constitution in 1943 to help govern the people of Germany when Hitler was finally no longer in power. It should also be noted that the Circle did not have any plans to assassinate Hitler, with their only goal to be ready for when the war ended. Other groups within Germany did not share the same anti-violent ideology of the Circle, and in June of 1944, there was a bombing attempt on the Führer that failed. Operation Valkyrie was carried out by Claus von Stauffenberg, a German officer and cousin to one of the highest members of the Circle. After the failed attempt, the Gestapo began rounding up anyone that they could prove was against the Reich, even with the smallest amount of evidence. Several members of the group were arrested, and the group naturally began to dissolve as the danger grew closer. After the fall of the Third Reich, many members of the Circle remained active in the government, trying to establish the Germany that they had dreamed for. While none of the Circle's plans were implemented, their activities showed that not everyone in Germany shared in the beliefs and the acts of the Nazi Party.